Three, two, one. Hey folks, welcome to the New Calculus channel. We have a special interview today with a member who's actually been part of the community for even longer than I have. Well, in fact, by quite a bit longer, I'm pretty sure. Banana Man Jr. Here he is. Say hello, Banana Man.
Oh, hello.
It's,
Hello there, I'm Banana Man.
it's awesome to have you. Thank you for coming on today, and hopefully we'll have a nice little
Thank
casual
you.
interview about how you found the Discord and how you found the new calculus community that John set up. So without further ado, let's get John introduced as well. Hello, John.
Yes, hello everyone. I guess you've heard me a lot on the New Calculus channel, so you all know about me.
Exactly. You're a famous person at this stage, So all right. So I think what we'll do is we will let John maybe kick off with the first question, perhaps. Take it away. The floor is yours.
Okay, so what got you interested in mathematics?
So, what got me interested is okay, now, um, in primary school, I was diagnosed with dyslexia, so I didn't really do well in English and Afrikaans. So, the only subject I could do good in was mathematics. So, that's what sparked my fascination.
Jesus. Okay.
Uh, and then, when high school started and we started to learn more about mathematics, uh, I started to learn it on my own. Like I'd watch YouTube videos, uh, especially channels like Numberphile
Mm-hmm.
got me very interested in math.
No,
Yeah,
that's
that's
awesome.
interesting.
That's very interesting,
Yeah,
actually. Yeah. I
go ahead.
remember. Oh, you first, John. Sorry. Yeah, you first.
Okay, no, you go ahead and then I'll just follow up on you.
I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, I saw one of your comments in a Norman Wildberger video like 2 years ago or something. If I'm not mistaken, am I right? I'm pretty sure I saw one. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually I I got into Norman Wildberger's videos
Hmm.
because I was researching the dual complex numbers, which is a lot of baloney, but I was believing that type of stuff back then.
Oh, you mean the one
So
with
I
the
saw one of
epsilon
his
instead of the
videos.
I? Yeah.
What was
Yeah,
that
it's where
again?
they have so I was learning about the dual complex numbers. It's where you have like a infinitesimal instead of like a I. So he was
Hmm.
like teaching how to do this with matrices instead of like um, defining it algebraically. So that's what got me interested in his channel.
Interesting. Right. So that's how you. Okay. So that's one of the. So we've got number file. We've had some Norman Wildberger, and yeah, any other channels that sparked your interest before you found John? Or in fact, maybe this is a good question to ask now. How did you find the New
Yeah.
Calculus channel?
The way I found the New Calculus channel is I was watching Norman Wildberger's videos and
Hmm.
he would talk about how real numbers and infinite sets were like they didn't make sense. So uh, that that like made me go against the mainstream mathematics. So then I searched up arguments against infinity. So like um,
Hmm.
what's it called, finitism,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
I
Okay.
found this playlist. And then in the playlist, there was a video by John, and it has this cartoon character, and it has like a red infinity symbol as its sun, as
Hmm.
its glasses. And he was talking about how you can't have an infinite set because that would mean you'd complete an indefinite process. So that's what introduced me to the new calculus channel.
Fascinating. Thanks for the information. No, that's incredible. So, what's John? Would you like to pitch in at this point and maybe ask another
Uh,
question or?
yeah, I'd like to continue on, follow up on that. So what really uh, surprises me is that you started with channels like Numberphile, and gradually you were searching for uh, knowledge that made sense. You
Yeah, I was
simply,
searching for something because those number file videos, they were very hard to understand. They were interesting, but I couldn't quite grasp it. So
Hmm.
they would talk about things like infinite sums. So then I learned sigma notation and how to calculate series. Um, and then I just kept learning more and more of these crazy things about mathematics. Like I learned group theory, abstract algebra. I was learning
That's
about surreal numbers. If you remember that,
yeah.
your that's even worse than the real numbers. And then when I found Norman Wildberger's channel, I realized, yo, okay, this stuff doesn't actually make sense. Like infinity in this doesn't make sense. Even though he was saying his own sort of crap. Like he was talking about what's it called? Rational trigonometry, that stuff. Well,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
So tell me,
he was misleading as well, but I was getting
yes.
closer to the truth.
And Banana Boy, tell us what I really find interesting about this is that I often get comments on my channel warning others with impressionable minds to be careful. But in your case, you had already looked at a lot of the mainstream stuff, so it wasn't as if you had come to my channel unprepared. You had already seen a lot of things, and from the comments you were making on my channel, I assumed that you already knew quite a lot. And yes, you did. And that's what impressed me is that how did you get to know so much? So the answer is that you actually examined all those claims that were made in those videos, and the ones that made sense you could take away, and the ones that didn't, you didn't understand. And it wasn't because there was something wrong with your understanding; it was because it was nonsense and it couldn't be understood. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, so when I saw that infinite sets didn't make sense, it's like I couldn't go back. I don't know how people can believe something after it's proven wrong,
Exactly.
because I couldn't go back to the mainstream math after that. And
Yeah.
actually, me not believing in the mainstream math sort of made me hesitant when I came onto your channel, because um, you would talk about things like pi and e and talk about integrals, and I would think, aren't these real numbers? Like Norman
Mm.
showed me that the real numbers don't make sense, and this guy seems to be talking about them. But then
It's
I watched your videos on what a number is and what a constant is, and then I understood.
it's amazing that you have to go back quite a bit before you can get to the point where you really understand, isn't it?
I had to do
I,
the
I
same.
actually
So,
I learned the new calculus in reverse. I saw your video on the integral. Then I learned about uh, the mean value and the level magnitude. Then I learned about what a number is. Then I learned about the elements. Then I learned about um, what a nomina is. So I learned it all in reverse order. And when I
That's amazing.
finally saw it all, then it made sense.
Excellent. So I've got one more final question. Do you want to ask another question, uh,
oh yeah.
Mr.
No,
Yeah.
this is excellent so far. I'm sorry about like wanting to let Banana Man speak here. Some very interesting information. All I can say is that I basically did something very similar to him. Not with mainstream maths or any of that. I was a mainstream engineer, maths, things like maths person for quite a long time already, right? So I've been using well-established results. Linear algebra, differential equations, Laplace transforms, Fourier transforms, a lot. I've been using these things for a long time, right?
Well, you have a PhD, right? So I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
you're not
So,
going
but I will have to admit that I basically what Banana Man just described here was very similar to what ended up happening to me about a year and a half, 2 years ago when I found all of this. You know,
to use.
so mirrors it almost exactly. To be fair, I think that is quite a common. I say for anybody who actually gets into your stuff, John, and like reads it,
Yeah.
I would say that's quite a common thing that will happen. Like, I mean, I had, as I said before in a previous video, I had a kind of an almost not a mental crisis, but like almost one with like Laplace transforms. And then it's like, well, does John deny the Laplace transform? I've done things with these. So he doesn't though. That's the point, right? He's not actually slagged any of that ever, right? It's the
Yeah.
understanding and the groundwork beforehand. There's nothing necessarily wrong with a limit. Just make damn well sure you know what you're doing and what the actual interpretation should be with respect to them. But yeah, no,
And
mirrors
and
of Banana
and
Man very well.
and I would just add to that comment, you don't really need a limit to calculate a derivative or an integral. So,
Exactly.
you know,
Yeah. Never was needed in
okay,
the first
so
place. Anyways, continue.
yeah,
Sorry.
that's yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. I've got one more question. So, do you
Sure.
want to ask another one before I finish off, or?
Um, I suppose a good one would be how did Banana Man, how did the new calculus channel and some of John's content actually change your view on mainstream maths? Like, what was the kind of like the end, the how did you feel after it? After you'd been through a lot of his contents of your own volition, of course.
So after I learned about the new calculus, it's like it completely changed my world because when I'd look at the mainstream mathematics, it was almost like I'd get disgusted because of how wrong they were. It's like every single thing I was taught was wrong. Real numbers were wrong.
Mm.
Axiomatics was wrong. Set theory was wrong. The metaphysics was wrong.
Mm.
Because
Okay.
these mainstream academics, they think, you can just um, make your own flavor of mathematics by choosing a different set of axioms, or you can define anything you want.
Fascinating. Yeah. Hmm.
And even Norman Wildberger sort of thought that thing.
Right. Okay. Interesting. And I'd like to add something to that. I mean, I came to a conclusion myself recently with respect to what you just mentioned here. I can see how axioms and axiomatization of maths has happened. I can see it, right? I can see why it's happened. So basically, from what I could work out, some fundamental principles were just too hard to do, too hard to explain, too hard to define, so they became decrees, right? So on that note, if mathematics was truly down to what we feel and what we want to do as people, so basically based on our whims and our desires as humans,
If it
we
was subjective, pretty much.
we probably wouldn't be where we are today. So it's a good question maybe for a future video sometime would be when does an axiom cease being an axiom? I think that would be a very interesting discussion to have at some point. But yeah, no, it's a very good point that you made about axioms, and that would be its whole that could be a very long video in its own right, probably more than 2 hours even. Who knows? But yeah, no, thank you for that. So, and do you have any other questions, John, you'd like to add?
Yeah, yeah. The last question is this: given all that you've seen and experienced, I think you've got about a year and a half after studying this material and other material. What would your advice be to other teenagers? Because you are a teenager and
Yeah.
you're young, and what would you tell them? How should they approach this kind of channel, this kind of knowledge, and how should they think? And particularly, what should they think of me making those videos?
So I think the most important thing is to have an open mind and to not get sidetracked by like superficial things like um a lot of the people who seem to come onto the Discord, they have like a problem with like your attitude or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not really important. What's important is what you claim and the proof you give for the claims. So I think, yeah, they should have an open mind and
And they should
they should
basically examine the content, not the
they
person,
should
right?
examine the content. They shouldn't care about like ad hominems or anything like that. They should look at the
Yeah,
arguments and
absolutely.
No, that's a fair point. I was just going to say, um, people in general, myself included, actually, to be fair, not recently, but like in general, people get very distracted at, say, like the ad hominem that you would do and whatnot, John, right? So what happens is a
Mm.
lot of people they won't hear the what you're actually saying. They'll just focus on the like with the what's the word the negative parts, and they won't actually see the argument you're trying to make. You know, so it has pros and
Mm.
cons. For tough love works for some people. Problem is that it doesn't work for a lot of people. is all I'm going to say, right? So it can be very difficult for people to concentrate on the arguments. But yes, guys, listen to Banana Man here. If you do ever check his content out, really, really pay attention to it. Take your time. There's no rush, right? A lot of people, they'll come in, they'll check an article out, maybe half read it, maybe a quarter read it, and then just start reciting from the hymn sheet of real analysis every time, right?
Yeah, they'll come onto the Discord and then they'll start arguing.
And
Now,
I
okay,
understand this,
another
but yeah, hang on, I continue. Sorry, let me let you speak. Yeah.
so another thing I'd like to add, and okay, I'm a bit embarrassed to say this, but don't when you come onto the channel and you watch these videos, don't be arrogant, because when I first came onto the New Calculus channel and I was watching the videos, I thought I already knew how the integral worked and how super task work and all
Hmm.
these things.
Right.
So
Okay.
I thought, oh, John says you multiply these two means, but how can you get the mean? You'd have to do a super task. So I was pretty much dismissing the things he was saying because of my arrogance.
Oh,
But
really? So you began doubtful at the start?
yeah,
Oh,
I was
interesting.
arrogant at the beginning.
Excellent. Okay. So you're a
But then
natural born
I got
skeptic.
humbled. I got humbled by the new calculus derivative because I'd never seen anything like that in the mainstream, and it was so simple. I just couldn't believe that it was true.
Hmm.
And it took me like a few days for it to settle in, and then I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's actually a genius. I have to listen to him.
Nice. Okay. Okay. That's interesting. I mean, I definitely had a moment like not similar to that. Like, I actually never went in arrogant at the first place. But that's interesting that you actually went in from a position of like effectively you thought you had it sussed, right? Let's see what this man has to say now, and you ended up actually being impressed, and coming out with
Yeah.
extra knowledge, right?
I was humbled, and then after that, I just kept getting humbled whenever I thought I was understanding. Then I'd read another article and I'd be like, oh my days, what is going on? Especially with the closed form for the trigonometric functions, I was like, oh my
Yeah, I like
days,
those. I like that as
this is
well. I like that as
crazy.
well. Yeah, as big fan, big fan.
And so, and so the difference between someone like you, Banana Boy, and someone else is that you're secure in thinking for yourself and you don't draw conclusions from what others tell you to think. So
Yeah.
that is very important that you're, as you said, the very first comment you made is that you need to have an open mind. And yes, I'm not a perfect presenter. I often get annoyed and irate on my videos. I shouldn't really, but I think all of us have some kind of baggage or other, don't we? And so, uh, being 63 years old, it's unlikely that I'm going to change much, even though I've tried to be nice. Some videos I actually think I get it right. I tend to, take a chill pill, so to speak. But other times I get really worked up because I think, how can people be so stupid? And I think you've asked yourself that many times because in your comments you've often come to the right conclusions, even by stating them using your own language. So, for example, when you put a comment in my video, you would reword it in the way that you understood, and it was perfectly correct.
Hmm.
So, I was impressed also that when I found out that you were so young, I never expected it. I imagined that you were at least, maybe 26, 27, 28.
Hmm.
And so you're very articulate in your comments, despite the fact that you have, endured some ADD, and your thinking has been exceptionally clear. So that just goes to show you that most people who think that they know what certain concepts should be don't. And it's quite ironic, I think.
Yes, I see the Dunning-Kruger effect everywhere when I look at the mainstream. It's
Yes,
like
yes,
you can't
absolutely.
ignore it.
You can't. It's there all the time. Somebody's going to come on the channel and say, if you say the sky is blue, and somebody's going to come and say, well, it's not blue. Sometimes it's gray. Sometimes, but that's irrelevant because you're not talking about sometimes. You're talking about general, right?
Mm.
All
Okay. Well,
right.
I'm pretty much done. Thank you so much for coming on the channel, and I'll pass over to James.
Sure. I just want to say thank you for the video that you did on summarizing the arithmetic without the numbers. You know, when you did the triangles beside each other and you had the little tick boxes in GeoGebra, right? I really like
Yeah.
that. That was really cool. I like that. So anything more like that you can maybe knock up, you know, we'll happily accept. That's very nice of you to do that. Thank you, Van. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, this has been another recording for the New Calculus channel. I hope everybody receives this well. Yeah, thank you very much. We'll sign off. See you, folks. Have a good one.
Take care. Bye bye.
Catch y'all.